Hi, everyone. It's Helen McConnell here from helenmcconnell.com. Today, I want to talk to you about messiness. Do you live with someone who's messy? Do you love someone who's messy? Are you messy? Are your kids messy? Do you have a friend who's messy? Let's talk about this just for a minute. How do you judge that person? Do you get angry at them or frustrated at them or criticize them or tell them they ought to stop being so messy or they ought to pick up after themselves? I want to give you an insight, and we're going to do some tapping on it. Do you think that that person should be as unmessy as you are? So I just want to point out that when we think that way, that I would never be that messy, or you ought to be as neat as me, or you ought to think the way I think, we are disregarding and disrespecting the people we love, the people in our lives. And it's not helpful to tell somebody you're really messy, you're such a slob, or whatever you've been telling them, or yourself. Don't tell yourself this. So tap with me and say, and think about a messy person, whether it's you or someone else, to say, even though I know this messy person and I judge and criticize them, and that means you judge and criticize yourself if you're the one, to say, I love and accept myself. And I'm ready to see things differently. You're going to stay tapping on the side of your hand, even though I have this messy person in my life. And I wish they were neater. And I've been pressuring them. I love and accept myself. And I'm willing to get a new perspective on this. Even though I have this messy person in my life and I judge that person and their messiness, I love and accept myself. And now it's time for me to get a new perspective. Right? Notice any resistance to getting a new perspective, that you think you're right and they're wrong. Just tap with me and see what happens. Say, this messy person in my life, they ought to be neater. Side of the eye. I'm neat. Under the eye. Why can't they be neat? Under the nose. I've tried talking to them about it. On the chin, but actually I've tried talking at them about it. Collarbone. And the truth is, under the arm, the messy person in my life, top of the head, may actually have a good reason for being messy. On the eyebrow, the mess may make them feel comfortable. Under the eye, or they may not know how to be a neat person. Under the eye, or it may not feel safe to them to be totally neat. Under the nose, whatever the reason. On the chin, I'm possibly, maybe, collarbone, willing to accept them and love them as they are. Okay, you're going to take a deep breath there, in and out. And just notice that oftentimes people have habits and they aren't always good habits, but we don't always know why they have that habit. And I promise you, the more you pressure them to change, the more they're going to hold on, most likely, to their habit. Unless we can love them unconditionally and help them with their habit in a loving way, it's probably going to stay the same or even get worse. Now, here's the next thing. So say you live with a messy person and you are not a messy person. Or you might be the messy person and you live with someone else who fits this description that I'm going to give you. Just notice it. If you're the neat person, do you feel resentful when you have to clean up after the messy person? Okay. Now that you have a little possibly new insight about the messy person, maybe you could clean up without getting a resentment, without being resentful, without storming around and tisking and holding it against them. What if that could be possible? Here's what I know about emotions and energy. When we hold on to an emotion, especially a negative one, the energy of that is very oppressive to someone, and that can cause them to feel defensive and want to fight back. And fighting back might mean holding on to this old habit. So we're going to tap around about this. Okay, just tap and say, even though I feel like I have to clean up after this person, and I get really resentful about that, but I'm willing to love and accept myself and possibly see things differently. Okay, now we're just going to tap around, starting at the top of the head. Say, I get resentful on the eyebrow, having to clean up after this person. Side of the eye. Why should I have to clean up after them? Under the eye. I get really resentful. Under the nose. And that doesn't help our relationship at all. On the chin. And it's not helping them get neater. Under the nose. I'm afraid to accept this messiness. Under the arm. I'm afraid it means I'll always have to clean up after them. Top of the head. Maybe I will. On the eyebrow. It's up to me to decide. Side of the eye. If I want to have a resentment or not. Under the eye. I wonder if it's possible. Under the nose to pick up this after this person. On the chin in a loving manner. Collarbone to let go of any resentment that I might have. Under the arm, because a resentment, top of the head, is just a negative thought. On the eyebrow, and I keep thinking this same negative thought. Side of the eye. And I wonder why I keep feeling bad. Under the eye. It's gotten to the point where I don't even look forward to coming home. Under the nose. And that's not how I want to be. On the chin. So I'm possibly, maybe willing, collarbone, to change my thinking. Under the arm so that I don't hold on to this resentment. Top of the head. And so I can be in a loving relationship. And this is true even if it's your kid or your friend or whatever. On the eyebrow, a loving relationship. Side of the eye, a harmonious relationship. Under the eye can never be built on resentment. Under the nose, I get to choose. On the chin, resentment or no resentment. Collarbone, I get to choose. Just take a deep, gentle breath in and out. And notice all of your resistance, all of your buts about this, okay? All of these things, all of these thoughts that you have are your choice. You can choose to think in a different way about this. And our sort of ego self, our small self, is always going to say, like, I don't want to have to do this the rest of my life. That's not fair, blah, blah, blah. But I want you to imagine what might happen if you change this energy. You don't have to, do not, I was going to say, you don't have to tell the person, just change your energy, change your perspective, change your attitude, and see what happens. I recall when I was a long time ago, this was probably 50 years ago, I was married to my first husband, and I was still a cigarette smoker at the time. And he hated that I smoked. He hated, 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 even though I smoked when we got married. You know, I was already a smoker. And he used to tell me, God, I wish you'd stop smoking. And that's all he would say is, I wish you'd stop smoking. And we never talked about what it meant to me, like how scary it was for me to think about not smoking. He just kept making me feel bad, like shaming me. I'm sure that's not what he meant to do. I'm sure he thought he was helping, but it didn't help. It made it worse. It made me just want to go out and smoke a cigarette just to spite him. Now, if he had approached me from a more loving perspective about how much he cared about me, not how much cigarette smoke stinks, which it does. I see all that, but that he cared about me and that he really wanted me to live my best life, I might have been much more open to thinking about quitting. So I just open up this idea about messiness, about if maybe you live with a smoker, maybe you live with a drinker, maybe you just live with somebody who has habits you don't like. Well, it's time to rethink the way you deal with this person. Start from your heart, not your head. Start from your heart, not your ego. Your ego is the intellectual part that makes up all kinds of excuses for why it thinks you could be mean to this person and it would help. Start from your heart. Always start from your heart. I hope you find this helpful. Please subscribe to my channel, HelenMcConnell.com. Thanks for watching.